Good morning, friends. Today is Tuesday, May 12th, and it is the second day of our Spirit Week. So, as you can see, I've got my fun yellow shirt on, and I have an orange hat on too. It's Orange and Yellow Day. So, remember to send in some pictures of you wearing your yellow or orange clothing. To either your teacher or Miss Hammond, and you might get a shout out, or your picture might be featured in Morning Motivation, which would be awesome. All right, so we have a new text for Read Aloud today, just like every day. But before we get into it, we're going to go back to the distance learning folder so that we can see where to find it. Now, I'm going to do something new today. Um, I'm going to put the link to the distance learning folder in the description of the video because a few friends have told me that they're having trouble um, finding the distance learning folder. So if you are one of those friends, there will just be a link underneath the video in the description. Um, One will be to the distance learning folder, and the other, so you can have access to all of the materials for all of the subjects. And the second link will be the materials that you need just for this lesson. So, and I'll make sure that those are very, very clear. Um, so if you need help accessing the distance learning folder, don't worry about it. I will put the link in the description below. All right. And once you click on the link, you're going to go to the distance learning folder. Then you're going to go to first grade and read aloud. And May 11th to May 15th, because that is this week. And the names always get mixed up for me. We would like them to be in order: Monday, Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, May 12th. And here are the materials that you will need today. If you would like to use if you would like to print these papers out. If not, you can just have a blank sheet of paper and a pen or a pencil with you, preferably a pencil, because it's like school. It is school. It's just school at your house. So let's get started. So the first thing that we have to do when we're reading this text that is called Insects for Dinner, um, we need to figure out what the genre is. Now, there aren't many text features that are going to tell us whether this is fiction or nonfiction because the only text feature there actually is a title. And we know that fiction stories as well as nonfiction texts both have titles. So we can't tell what the genre is just from the title. So I'm actually going to read it through first, and then we'll figure out what the genre is. So let's see if I can. We're going to present. Here we go. Make it nice and big, but you can see it. And we'll move my face out of the way. There we go. And let's get started. Insects for dinner. Imagine eating a plate full of crickets for dinner with chocolate covered ants for dessert. What? You. It might not sound too appetizing to you, but around 2 billion people worldwide eat insects regularly as a part of their diet. Eating insects is called entomophagy. Entomophagy, I believe that's how it's pronounced. And there are many good reasons to do it. First off, insects are really good for you. They are packed with protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. By weight, crickets and termites contain more protein than beef. That means that if you have um, the same weight of crickets and termites, you have like 1 pound of crickets and termites, and then you have 1 pound of beef, the crickets and termites are actually going to have more protein in it. And protein is what makes you big and strong and gives you muscles. Um, and it's what keeps you full. Like when you eat a lot of eggs have a lot of protein, yogurt has a lot of protein. That's what keeps you full. So crickets and termites have more protein than the beef does. It's crazy. Ah, second, Raising insects is less expensive and better for the earth than raising livestock. Insects take up much less space and need much less food and water than cows. Also, more parts of an insect is edible than a cow or a chicken. Edible means that you're able to eat it. In addition, insects have a much shorter lifespan, so the time spent raising them is much less than other edible animals or other animals you can eat. Third, believe it or not, if prepared well, insects actually taste good. Many types of insects taste a little nutty, especially if they are roasted. Some kinds of bugs taste like bacon, while others may taste like fish or even fruit. Some insects, such as mealworms, don't have much of a taste at all and pick up the flavors of whatever they are cooked with. So, what are you waiting for? Why not try a beetle today? Now, friends, I'm not saying that you should go outside and pick up a beetle and eat it. That's not clean. When people make bugs to eat, they have to prepare it a certain way. So don't just go outside and start eating bugs. Don't do that. So now back to the questions. The first question that we have is what is the genre? So um, we have to figure out because there aren't many. The only text feature that is in this text is the text feature that both fiction and nonfiction texts have in common, which is titles. So we can't tell what the genre is from the text, but you can from the text. So remember, a fiction story or a fiction text is telling us a story, while a nonfiction text is teaching us about something. So after reading this article, what do you think the genre is? Go ahead and I'll flip through the pages and you can write down what you think the genre is. Go ahead. All right. So as I was reading the article for the first time, I was like, what? People are eating bugs? That doesn't sound real to me. So I didn't think that it was nonfiction at first. But as I was reading along, I realized that this article was not telling me a story. It was teaching me something. In fact, people do eat bugs. Over 2 billion people worldwide eat insects. That is a lot of people. Um, so this text is actually nonfiction. The genre of this text is nonfiction. It's teaching us about. Oh, actually, I'm not going to tell you that yet because that's the next question. Can't give it away. So write down that the genre of text is nonfiction. All right. The next question is what is the main topic? So what is this article teaching us all about? I'm going to flip through the pages again, and you write down what you think the main topic is. Go ahead. All right, so a really good place to look if we're trying to figure out the main topic of an article is the first paragraph, because the first paragraph usually introduces us to what this article is going to be about. So let's read the first paragraph and see if we can figure out what the main topic is just from that. Imagine eating a plate full of crickets for dinner with chocolate covered ants for dessert. It might not sound too appetizing to you. That means that it might not sound too delicious to you. But around 2 billion people worldwide eat insects regularly as a part of their diet. Eating insects is called entom- entomophagy. Entomophagy. So, eating insects is called entomophagy, and there are many good reasons to do it. All right. So, as I was stumbling over that word, um, I hope you all are thinking about what you think the main topic of this article is. So, I see that it's mentioning that um, eating crickets and ants, which are both different kinds of insects. It's telling me that 2 billion people worldwide eat insects as a part of their diet every day. It's telling me that this fancy word, entom- entomophagy, I don't, friends, I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't say it, entomophagy. Um, entomophagy is um, the word that means eating insects. So the main topic of this article is actually eating insects. Um, we can also tell because the title says insects for dinner. What do you do at dinner? You eat. So the main topic of this article is eating insects. All right, now we can move on to the next question, which, funny enough, asks you about that word that I seem to be having so much trouble with, entomophagy. What does the word entomophagy mean? So the word entomophagy is right here. So I would look in the text surrounding it. So in this first paragraph again, to find the definition of it or what it means. So take about 30 seconds to do that on your own and answer the question, what does the word entomophagy mean? Go ahead. All right. So entomophagy. I got it now. Don't worry, friends. See, if you practice saying a word enough, you get it right. Entomophagy. So we've got entomophagy right here, and we need to figure out what it means. So let's read this first paragraph again, and we can figure out what the word entomophagy means. Imagine eating a plate full of crickets for dinner with chocolate covered ants for dessert. It might not sound too appetizing to you, but around 2 billion people worldwide eat insects regularly as a part of their diet. Eating insects is called entomophagy, and there are many good reasons to do it. So, the word entomophagy is in this last paragraph here, and this is where it tells you what it means. Eating insects is called entomophagy. So, if you just turn that around, entomophagy means eating insects. So, what does entomophagy mean? Entomophagy means eating insects. All right, this next question that we have is one of those special multiple choice questions. So I need to get out of present mode in order for us to answer this question. So the question is, why is eating insects better for the environment than eating meat? All right, now we need to find the section of this article where they mention the environment. So we know that the first paragraph, we don't, the environment isn't mentioned. Um, In the second paragraph, we're going to look at the topic sentence of each paragraph to see what the paragraphs are going to be about. So we've read the introduction a bunch of times. We know that it doesn't mention the environment in here. The topic sentence of the second paragraph says, first off, insects are really good for you. Now, that doesn't mention the environment at all. The environment is the earth. So that really doesn't mention the earth. It mentions why it's good for you as a person, as one singular person, not as the environment as a whole. So we're not going to look there. In this paragraph, the topic sentence says, second, raising insects is less expensive and better for the earth than raising livestock. All right, so if we're looking for how eating insects is better for the environment, the earth is our environment. So I would say that we should look here, but let's look at that last paragraph just to make sure that we're looking in the right place. So third, believe it or not, if prepared well, insects actually taste good. Okay, so this doesn't really have to do with the environment. So let's go back to this paragraph right here. This is where we're going to find the answer to that question because this paragraph is about how insects, raising and eating insects is better for the environment than raising livestock and eating meat. So um, let's see where are the options. Here we go. Insects need less food and water. That's option number one. Insects need less food and water. Let's read through this and see if we can find if it says if insects need less food and water than livestock. Second, raising insects is less expensive and better for the earth than raising livestock. Insects take up much less space and need much less food and water than cows. Okay, so let's underline that right there. Insects need much. Ooh, I don't know what that was. Let's erase that. Was not a good line, friends. All right. Need much less food and water than cows. All right. So we've found it in this paragraph, and we'll go back and circle it as the right answer. But let's keep reading this paragraph because there's going to be a lot more information in it. So insects take up much less space and need much less food and water than cows. Also, more parts of an insect is edible than a cow or a chicken. In addition, insects have a much shorter lifespan, so the time spent raising them is much less than other edible animals. All right, so let's go back to this slide because we know that this is one of the correct options. But we know that we're not done because we know that multiple choice answers can always have more than one choice. So we have to look through each and every single one of the options to make sure that we don't leave anything out. All right, so the next section or the next option is some insects can fly. Now, while this is true, um, that some insects can fly, I don't remember reading about it in this paragraph. Let's see. Second, raising insects is less expensive and better for the earth than raising livestock. Insects take up much less space and need much less food and water than cows. Also, more parts of an insect is edible than a cow or a chicken. In addition, insects have a much shorter lifespan, so the time spent raising them is much less than other edible animals. So this it doesn't say that in here that insects being able to fly makes them better for the environment. So I'm going to cross that out because even though some insects can in fact fly, and that is a true statement, it's not answering the question, saying why um, eating insects is better for the environment than eating meat. So while it is true, it's not answering the question, so we have to cross it out. All right, let's see the next one. Insects take up less space. I think I remember seeing something like that. Let's see it again. Second, raising insects is less expensive and better for the earth than raising livestock. Insects take up much less space. Ooh, there it is. Insects take up much less space. Boom, we got it. All right, got our pointer back. We're going to go back here. We know that this is definitely one of the correct answers. Insects take up less space. That makes them better for the environment. And then we're going to get our pointer tool again and just look at the last option. So this says insects have 6 legs. Now, this is also a true statement, but is it answering the question about why eating insects is better for the environment than eating meat? I'm not so sure. Let's reread this paragraph and see if it says anything about insects having 6 legs. Second, raising insects is less expensive and better for the earth than raising livestock. Insects take up much less space and need much less food and water than cows. Also, more parts of an insect is edible than a cow or a chicken. In addition, insects have a much shorter lifespan, so the time spent raising them is much less than other edible animals. So I don't see anything in here about insects having 6 legs and why that would be helpful for the environment. So I'm just going to cross this one out. While it is a true statement, it has nothing to do with the question. So the correct answers are A and C. Insects need less food and water, and insects take up less space. All right. So the last question on that first page is a true or false question. So true or false? Crickets and termites have more protein than beef. Crickets and termites have more protein than beef. Explain how you know. Now, I think I remember reading something about that all the way back up here. Nope, that was for the last one. Yes, back up here. All right. So let's look at this topic sentence, and we'll see if we think we'll be able to find it in this paragraph right here. First off, insects are really good for you. Ooh, they're really good for you. And we know that protein is good for you because protein builds strong muscles. Um, so it's probably going to be in this paragraph. So I'm going to give you a little bit. You're going to see if you can find the answer, say whether it's true or false, and then explain how you know. Go ahead. All right. So in this paragraph, we're going to find the answer about the crickets and termites having more protein than beef. So let's read this paragraph together. First off, insects are really good for you. They are packed with protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. By weight, crickets and termites contain more protein than beef. Okay, so that's what we were saying before. That if you had a pound of termites and crickets, and then you had a pound of beef, there would be more protein in the pound of crickets and termites than there would be in the pound of beef. That's just crazy. So, true or false, crickets and termites have more protein than beef. We know that that is true because in the text it says, by weight, crickets and termites contain more protein than beef. So you can find the evidence in the text. All right, my friends, we have finished that first page. So now we get to move on to the exit ticket. All right. So the exit ticket today is asking you, why should people eat insects? This article is teaching us about how or about why people eat insects, why people should eat insects. So now you get to turn it around and explain why people should eat insects. Um, According to the article, you might not personally agree that people should eat insects, but using the article for support, if you were going to convince somebody, say you were convincing a friend or a parent or your siblings or your teacher why you think people should eat insects, you're going to use this article to that um, write that assignment. So let's read this question. Why should people eat insects? Find three reasons from the article. Then write and explain why people should consider adding insects to their diet. So when you add insects to your diet, that means that you're including insects in the things that you eat. Remember to do your best work and write in complete sentences. Now, in this article, I hope you all have noticed that we have transition words in the article. So we have first off, that's one of the transition words. I'm gonna underline it. First off, then we have second. Remember, these are transition words. And then we have third. So if I were you, I would be looking at these transition words um, because after them, you're going to find your reasons to support your claim that people should eat insects. Um, Remember, you're finding three reasons. These are your three reasons. First off, second, and third. Then you're going to use the rest of the text to explain what each of the points means. So, for example, um, I would say people should eat insects because insects are really good for you. Then I would say what makes them good for you. They're packed with protein, they have fiber in them, they have vitamins and minerals, and they even have more protein than beef. That is a really cool detail because I know that before I read this, I didn't know that. Um, and your teachers who are reading your um, assignments aren't going to know that either, except for if you're in Fisk, because I've already read the article. Um, so I would include that really cool detail. So you're going to do the same thing for the other two reasons. And remember, you're writing in your neatest handwriting and complete sentence. All right, friends. Remember, I'm going to post the link to the distance learning folder in the description of this video. And I'll also post a link that has all of the materials for this assignment so that you'll be able to find it. And I hope that you all are wearing your Spirit Week gear and you're enjoying your Spirit Week. And I will see you tomorrow for Green Day. Bye, friends.